a round of applause, please, ladies and gentlemen. Day one was power-packed. And of course, day two is nothing less of that as well. We're putting the pedal to the metal and we're taking it up another notch. We started off with a big bang and we have a stellar lineup of speakers. You just heard Mr. Nilesh Mishra, and coming up we have another very special speaker. However, just before that, I just want to tell you that our breakout sessions, the one that was scheduled at 12:15, we're running a wee bit behind time, nothing that we can't make up. So from 12:15, it is now scheduled for 12:45. The next breakout session, which is scheduled for 2:45, remains the same, so we hope to catch up. And now, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, allow me to welcome our next guest speaker. So sports in India has truly come a long way, and we're happy to say that the government of India has made this a priority area. And in this regard, they've launched a lot of leagues, championships, tournaments, which is great news for us in the event industry because it means ample business opportunities. To tell us more, ladies and gentlemen, joining us is Ms. Neelam Kapoor, former head of the Press Information Bureau, and she's also been the Director General of the Sports Authority of India. Ma'am, it is such a pleasure to have you here. Really, we are honored.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's indeed a pleasure and a privilege to be addressing all of you today. I'm less than 48 hours out of my last job as the Director General of the Sports Authority of India. After spending about 37 years in government, it's taking time to sink in. But I'd like to share with you today of what is happening in the sports sector and the kind of silent revolution that is taking place and providing huge opportunities, I think, for the young of India. When I joined the Sports Authority of India in February last year, the Prime Minister had just launched the Khelo India program. The Khelo India program is for grassroots development. Today, when we have the Olympics, when we have the Commonwealth Games, when we have the Asian Games, everybody says, you know, such a big country, crores of people, why can't we get medals? What's happening? And I think this kind of expectation and this kind of disillusionment, if I may use the word, kind of repeats itself in an unending cycle. But I think perhaps what is happening now for the first time is a very structured, is a very thoughtful and a very systematic approach to sports development. What I have realized in the last 18 months at the helm of the Sports Authority of India is that the youth of our country, and that's 65% of our population, right, is waiting for sports to take their life onto another level. We've had training programs earlier, we've had talent identification in a sense, but everything is happening by chance. If you look at the story of Hima Das, who now is celebrated as one of India's greatest sprinters, but yet has to reach a much higher level to compete with the Olympic athletes. If you look at her story, she was actually playing football. And there was a coach who was looking at her playing football and said, stop playing football, you're a runner, you should run. Now this kind of talent identification isn't really happening, and it needs to be put onto a very, very systematic path. And I think that is what has started now with the Khelo India program. So the Khelo India program is a massive program for identifying young people from the ages of 8 to about 18 years, looking at their talent, linking up their education, linking up their training, putting them into academies, and monitoring their performance to see how they actually are put on a very, very scientific path to development and to achievement. And along with Khelo India is the TOPS program, or the Target Olympic Podium Scheme, which is nurturing our Olympic athletes. Today, sports has become an extremely scientific, extremely competitive area. We have the sports science come in, we have nutrition, and a difference of a centimeter, of a minute, of a second, not even of a minute, of a nanosecond, really is the difference between a winner and a loser. And that's the kind of precision and that's the kind of excellence that we have to strive for if we have to look at sports in the global context. In Khelo India, we today have over 2,500 athletes who are part of this program. And every year we have the Khelo India Youth Games, which really is the apex level event for these young athletes who come from all over the country. We've had 2 editions of Khelo India. The first one was in January 2018, and the second one was in Pune in January this year. And we had Fountainhead as our partner for the opening ceremony, and Encompass, who managed the entire event for us. When you go to an event like this, you see 6,000, 7,000 young sportspersons from all over the country, a lot of them with their parents. And the idea was that we do this event to create aspirations. And how do you create this aspiration? Very often in families, the whole system is khel chodo, padhai karo, because there's nothing in sports. You have to study, you have to educate yourself to be somewhere in life. And this was one event where we tried to create respect, where we tried to create pride, and we tried to create a sense of accomplishment among these youngsters. For a young person to come into the sports arena, it is parents, it is school teachers, it is the PE teacher who are the gatekeepers. And if they don't buy in to the whole idea of a sports person and what sports means to your life, the youngster can really never go forward. There were parents who came to us at the event and said, "You have created an event which is like an international event. And the kind of respect that my child has got and the kind of accomplishment that my child has felt here, thank you very much." And what is it that we did to get this kind of response? We created an event that was of international standards. We said if India can host a Commonwealth Games, then India surely can host a Khelo India Games of the same level. We had Star Sports as our partner. The event was telecast live. For 8 hours every day, there was coverage of all the events. And the moment an athlete got off the winning podium, he or she was interviewed by Star Sports. It was put on Hotstar so that it was available on the mobile platforms as well and reaching every corner. We geared up the media setup so that there were interviews of the athlete. We made sure that the interviews of these athletes actually reached the school, the village, the town from where these young sportspersons were coming, so that their schools, their parents could see the sense of pride and accomplishment that was there in sports. I see today a social and an economic revolution happening in sports. I think this is the new sunrise sector. And I'm happy to also note that our Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi, has given the highest importance to this sector, not just as an outreach for young people, but as an industry that is waiting to happen, an industry that will create at least 1 million jobs, an industry that actually has the power to create a social and economic revolution. When we talk to young women athletes, youngsters who leave their homes and who are in our training centers, I see that they look at sports as something that will get them out of the situations that they are in and give them a new life. Till very recently, sports was actually looked on as just a gateway to a job. आप स्पोर्ट्समैन बनोगे तो आपको रेलवेज में, बैंक्स में कहीं पे जॉब मिल जाएगा. But today, this whole scenario, the whole approach is changing. Today, a sports person wants to be in sports for the love, the pride, the sense of accomplishment. And I think there's a huge industry which is developing around sports. And when I talk of sports, I want to make a distinction between cricket, which is already evolved to a certain level, and to other sports. While government is providing the platform of Khelo India and of the Target Olympic Podium scheme, which is actually focused towards taking our Olympic probables to the next level, I think it will be a whole series of events, right from our capital, New Delhi, to smaller towns, to maybe panchayats, which will create this sporting culture, which is so important if we have to succeed at the national level. We are a huge country. We have to meet the challenge of diversity, of the cultural differences, of the weather conditions, of our genetic, capabilities. The Cycling Federation, and cycling is a huge Olympic sport, till 3 years ago were not producing any champions. And then they went on a talent hunt and they picked up 6 athletes from the islands of Andaman and Nicobar to train at Delhi. We only have one indoor velodrome in India, which is in the Indira Gandhi Stadium, and that's where the academy was set up. There were kids who also came from Manipur, from Arunachal Pradesh, from Haryana. Today, a youngster, 15-year-old youngster called Iso, is the Asian gold champion in the juniors for cycling, and he's only 15. So what we have done now is that while 2020 is round the corner, Olympics 2020 is just about a year away, and you cannot create an athlete in 1 year. We are really focusing towards the Olympics in 2024 and 2028. And people like Iso have been identified, their performance is being tracked, their data is being analyzed. We are looking at Olympic gold medalists today. What was their performance when they were 15 or 16? What is the career graph and the performance graph that they had? And therefore, how does Iso move along that track? So if Iso has to be the Olympic gold medalist in 2024, what does he have to achieve in 2023, in 2022, in 21, 20, and today? And that's the kind of very, very harsh, very ruthless, and very tough training and development program that we need to put in place. When we were streamlining the Target Olympic Podium scheme, a lot of erstwhile champions, Gagan Narang, some others, were exited from the scheme. And there was a bit of hue and cry in the media. भाई ये तो चैंपियन थे, इन्होंने गोल्ड मेडल जीता है इंडिया के लिए. Yes, but where are you going to be in 2020 and where are you going to be in 24 is the question that needed to be answered. And when we explained what we were doing and how we were putting these people on trajectories, I think the acceptance and today the acknowledgement really has come in. I think the biggest game changer has been the interest that the media has shown in sports. Media has understood that sport today is a fantastic way of reaching out to people. Of course, it's good business. If it isn't good business, the money doesn't come in. Today we have the private sector sponsoring leagues, whether it's kabaddi, whether it's kho-kho, whether it's table tennis, or whether it's badminton. Today our badminton stars, PV Sindhu, has a reported income of about 54 crores a year. And there are many others coming in. I think essentially it's a good thing, but it's something which has to be managed. What is happening today is that the moment a star gets discovered, a Hima Das or a Swapna Burman, immediately there's an agency that takes control of the athlete, an athlete management agency. Now, while it takes a lot of rigor, a lot of perseverance to develop an athlete, some of these things can be distractions. And I'd like to put this point here because while it's a very, very encouraging thing, it's an empowering thing for an athlete to get this kind of attention. Very often we find that athletes actually get swayed away from their core discipline and their core work to attending events, to being brand ambassadors, and to be attending parties. So when we do have sports persons as our ambassadors, I think we have to be mindful, we have to be a little sensitive about the fact that they are training, that they have to achieve, and there's very, very hard discipline in what they need to do and what they need to achieve. It takes a village to develop and grow an athlete. It takes physiotherapists, it takes sports science people, it takes athlete relationship managers, it takes coaches, it takes trainers. And it's a huge industry. And I think in the coming years, the kind of events that are happening in India, the fact that today huge brands like Adidas, Nike, Yonex are sponsoring sporting events, just core Indian events, I think is indication enough that there's a lot that we need to happen. We need to make sports interesting, we need to make it entertaining, and most of all, we need to make it empowering. I'm very happy to say that our experience with Fountainhead, which did the opening program of the Khelo India, was an excellent experience. And that's where we talked about the journey of a sports person and how it is failure, success, hard work that actually culminates in a Mary Kom or in a Neeraj Chopra or in a PV Sindhu. I remember Gopichan telling me that when he spotted talent in PV Sindhu, he told her, he says, you have to prepare now for the next 6 months for this competition. And I want you to give me your cell phone on Monday. I think that was a Saturday or something, so Sunday is an off day. She said, here sir is my cell phone, keep it with you. And she was all of 18 years at that time. So that's the kind of dedication, that's the kind of single-mindedness, and that's the kind of very harsh life that a young person, with all the distractions that are available today to young people, need to put into their lives if they need to excel in sports. And we see that happening. I strongly believe that 2028 is going to be the year of India at the Olympics. We have already made a bid for the Youth Olympics to be held in India. The bid has been made on behalf of India by Ms. Nida Amani and our IOA President, Dr. Narendra Batra. But I think in the coming years, it's going to be events in India. The Khelo India Games are scheduled to be in Guwahati in January next year. I think it's going to be the India events that are really going to be center stage. And the kind of events will determine the kind of coverage. The kind of media coverage will again accelerate the kind of interest that youngsters really give to this area. So I think it's a circle that is slowly completing itself, and I think with the kind of support, the kind of encouragement, the kind of power that the government is giving behind this, I think it's an idea that is waiting to happen. So wish you all the best, wish you a lot of luck in the opportunities that are ahead, And this is something that is just not entertainment. I think this is something which has the power to change a lot of young lives. Thank you very much.
Now we request you to please remain on stage. We'd love to present you with a small memento to say thank you. So could I have Major KJS Gurna, Chair, EEMAGINE 2019, and our Treasurer EEMAGINE, of course, Mr. Harjinder Singh, Co-Chair, EEMAGINE 2019. Please present a memento. Please join us center stage. Ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause. We had Neelam Kapoor, former head of PIB and the former Director General of the SAI, speaking to us. It's lovely to hear how the sporting industry is coming of age in India. Let's have a big round of applause. The sunrise sector, the sporting industry in India coming a long way, growing by leaps and bounds, but the story has just begun for sports in India. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for us to choose our breakout sessions and head lots of interesting topics, lots and lots of exchange of knowledge. I'm going to tell you which sessions we have lined up for you. You can take your pick and head downstairs. And also when you head downstairs, please visit our state-of-the-art exhibition. We have Adapt or Perish Technology, Bharat Mata Ki Jai, which is all about brand India, Dil Mangta Hai More, Boon or Bane, taxes, we're talking about taxes, Chal 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 Mere Saathi, the travel experience, and finally, everybody screamed. So we have a lot of sessions up for choosing, up for grabs, so just head downstairs, have a look-see, experience the exhibition, and then choose your breakaway session and have a great time. After that, ladies and gentlemen, please head back to the Peacock Ballroom, head back to the main venue, because we have a very, very, very interesting speaker lined up, and you don't want to miss him. Thank you. It's all happening in day 2 in EEMAGINE 2019. We'll see you soon. Thank you.